Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. INFOWARSstore.com.
Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It's Tuesday, July 11th, 2017. I'm your host, Owen Schroyer. Here's what's on the news tonight.
Tonight, it didn't take WikiLeaks to reveal Donald Trump Jr.'s emails. He scooped the media and doxed himself, showing that he has nothing to hide. Tonight, we'll take a look at their content. Then, Republican congressmen are looking to make concealed carry legal in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, but only for them. And Turkey is now pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement because with America out, Turkey's welfare check won't be in the mail. And we talked to the man who almost died after being attacked for wearing his Make America Great Again hat.
So I went to get my hat and I put my hand like in front of her, like, what are you doing? And then she's like, I hate that hat and I hate you. And I was like, you don't even know me, stop. Like, this is ridiculous.
All that and more on tonight's InfoWars Nightly News.
The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. The key is to be aware of this attack and to fight back against it. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs harvested around the planet and then concentrated for maximum potency. I've always believed in nutrition and herbs. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality and other powerful products from InfoWars Life.
Check out these amazing deals at InfoWarsStore.com. 25% off BioTrue Selenium, a powerful antioxidant and back in stock Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. Now 33% off. And while you're there, check out the Total Oral Care Pack, which combines our organic mouthwash with the amazing Super Blue toothpaste. Now 37% off. All available right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
Remember, it was 2 weeks ago today that we had the White House and especially Nikki Haley saying we have
For almost a year now, and it was an email or a chain of emails from Donald Trump Jr. to a Russian lawyer that sparked the latest attempt to put meat in the nothing burger. Now, I'm going to break this down, and we're going to tell you exactly what happened here, why, and this is the media and the establishment's latest attempt to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That is the Russian collusion theory, but also to try to add a new element to that, and it's really quite incredible. Let's start with this story from Vox.com. The Donald Trump Jr. emails change everything. Change everything. It is no longer possible to dismiss the Russia scandal as fake news. Now, again, let's see if this Vox News story, let's see how this looks in a month. They go on. The June 2016 email thread in which Donald Trump Jr. was offered Russian government help for the Trump campaign has now been released, and it is utterly damning. Utterly damning. Donald Trump Jr. released the emails himself. Do you think that they would be utterly damning if he was releasing them himself? No, It doesn't make sense. So they go on, they try to put meat in this nothing burger, but they fail. FoxNews.com. Now, this is interesting because this morning I was shocked by two things. I was shocked by the Washington Examiner and how they have now changed their narrative and approach towards Donald Trump and the Trump-Russia collusion thing, at least some elements of the Washington Examiner. And then I was shocked this morning at Fox News when they were going along with this new hoax that there was something to the Trump Jr. emails and the Russian collusion narrative that has completely had nothing produced so far. It really amazed me to see both of those heads turn this morning, and it said a lot about this next wave of propaganda to try to, again, put Humpty Dumpty back together again, which is beyond just the Russian narrative. It's the entire globalist establishment, really, that's falling apart. And they're trying to pretend it's just the Russia thing. No, their entire world government is falling apart, folks. So then Fox, Donald Trump Jr. releases entire email chain regarding Russia meeting. Now, of course, again, this is Fox, so they aren't totally anti-Trump, but they are using this story and pretending like it does add an element of truth or it does add an element of curiosity to the Russia collusion narrative, which is totally fake news. Now, here it gets to the Washington Examiner. If you went to the WashingtonExaminer.com this morning, every story in the front fold was Donald Trump Jr.'s emails and a twist. Every different angle. I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen the Washington Examiner cover the Trumps like this. I'd never seen the Washington Examiner fall for the Russian collusion theories like this. I'd never seen them attack the Trumps like this. It was a new leaf for the Washington Examiner and even the people at Fox News that had people on from the Washington Examiner that went along with the ride. So the Washington Examiner. Donald Trump Jr. releases email saying, "I love it," after being offered Hillary Clinton dirt from Russia. So again, in the email, that's what he says. You can say, hey, you know, I want to meet up. We got dirt on Hillary. He says, I love it. Let's meet up. I may bring my brother-in-law. I may bring my other brother. Okay. So they're having this meeting. There's an intermediary, which is Rod Gladstone, which turns out may have been a setup. We'll get to that in a second. Okay. So, but why is that such a big deal? Again, these are the very media outlets, the very people that would dig up anything. They'd dig a 100-foot hole if they thought they could dig up something on Donald Trump. So why are you so shocked and appalled at Donald Trump Jr. saying that in an email? But then they go on. Why did Donald Trump Jr. dox himself? They're shocked. What is going on here? What? We thought we had meat. We thought we finally had the story that would put some meat in the nothing burger that is the Russian collusion story. But then why would Trump Jr. dox himself? Now, this is the key. This is something new to Washington, D.C., folks. This is the difference between the Podestas and the Clintons and the Democrats and the Wasserman Schultz and the Trumps. And so Washington Examiner says, why did Trump Jr. dox himself? Because he's innocent. There's the key. There's the difference. Donald Trump Jr. has nothing to hide. Donald Trump Jr. is not afraid of transparency, unlike everyone else I mentioned before. So reporters in D.C. and the Washington Examiner are shocked. Why would he dox himself? Why would he put this email in the public? What can I report on now? I don't have an angle. I have no meat for this burger. It's nothing. He destroyed us. Oh, why would he dox himself? Because he's innocent and he has nothing to hide. Amazing how that works. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? I wonder why Trump Jr. didn't take the Hillary Clinton technique and smash it with a hammer. Smash his phone with a hammer, delete 33,000 emails, have it on a classified server. Oh, again, the key. Trump Jr. has nothing to hide. He's not a dirty criminal. He's not a liar. He's transparent. So he released the emails and once again took the meat out of your Russia narrative and gave you the nothing burger that you have been producing now for almost a year. But the Washington Examiner didn't stop there. Republican Chris Stewart. Again, this is all on the front page of the Washington Examiner. It was shocking, folks. Republican Chris Stewart wants Donald Trump Jr. in front of the House Intelligence Committee. Okay. Now, Chris Stewart thinks he's going to be some sort of hero now and be another conservative against Trump. Good luck with that, Chris Stewart. Now, we'll see. He says, hey, let's get him in front of it. If he has anything to hide, then he won't come in front of it. Well, if he had anything to hide, he wouldn't have put the emails out there on Twitter. But he doesn't have anything to hide. That's why he did. But Chris Stewart wants him in front of a House Intelligence Committee. So fine, put Trump Jr. in front of a House committee, and again, we'll find that there is nothing to see here. But how about Tim Kaine? Again, another front fold of the Washington Examiner. Tim Kaine, Donald Trump Jr. meeting makes Russia probe a treason investigation. So, folks, Tim Kaine, this is a senator, and he's also completely moronic, ignorant. I'm being polite right now. But for a senator, for someone who holds that high of an office, to say that this meeting between Trump Jr. and the Russian lawyer makes the Russia probe a treason investigation, that is so far out of line, that is so far out of whack, that is so far out of any legal precedent or legalese that the fact that he's saying it really proves how low his IQ is, how ignorant he is, and how pathetic he is, or I guess how sold out he is, that he will even put himself out there as a complete moron who knows nothing about law, who doesn't know what treason is, probably never even read the email that he's addressing, and he's going to go out there and make a statement like that, completely selling himself out for the establishment. Tim Kaine, you are pathetic. And you are a member of the swamp, and you will be drained. So, again, all of that was on the front fold of the Washington Examiner. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen them cover the Trumps like this. And it's really amazing that we will have Tim Kaine and all of these people quadrupling down on the Russian narrative with the Donald Jr. meeting, with these emails. Again, they will fail, folks. They've already failed, but they're going to continue to try to put wind in these sails. So, but it gets even worse. Now, Trump Jr. released the emails this morning. Yesterday, Breitbart prints this story. New York Times has neither seen nor read Russia email to Trump Jr. Again, this was yesterday before Trump Jr. put the email out. So here is the story that they're talking about from the fake news New York Times, failing New York Times, run by Carlos Slim. By the way, Jeff Bezos, Carlos Slim, and all these billionaires that own these papers are begging the government to bail them out right now. That's right. These billionaires are asking for a bailout because their news publications are failing. That's because you chose to get real news from us. So the New York Times prints this story. Trump Jr. was told an email of Russian effort to aid campaign. So this was before they read the email. That's what Breitbart is alluding to. And if you read this story, it's amazing they haven't retracted it. It's such fake news. Because they're implying in this story that this email shows that the lawyer is going to give evidence or proof or provide some sort of practice or anything that's going to actually effort for the Trump campaign. And it turns out that wasn't the case. Again, it's a nothing burger, nothing there. Now, had there have been something there, had the Russians had something on Hillary, of course Trump Jr. would have wanted to take it. If CNN or the Washington Post or the New York Times had, I don't know, a Russian lawyer, let's say a Russian lawyer, just like Trump Jr. said, we've got dirt on Trump, here's an email, he's our intermediary, get in touch, we'll have a meeting. You don't think they would have taken that meeting? You don't think Podesta would have taken that meeting? You don't think Hillary would have taken that meeting? Of course they would. And they would have swam through 100 yards of feces like in the Shawshank Redemption to have it. You better bet your bottom dollar. So, but here's the New York Times pretending they know the contents of the email, pretending there's something there, and then Trump Jr. trumps them the next day by releasing the email, proving them to be fake news again. So the New York Times has to come back again today. Russian dirt on Clinton. I love it, Trump Jr. said. Of course, we already have the dirt on Clinton. We already know how dirty Clinton is. We already know the Russian collusion. Of course, Trump Jr. would love it. We all want to see it. That's why WikiLeaks is such a big deal. Even the Democrats make a big deal of it. So it's just shocking, the fake failing New York Times. And it does appear now when you look at this that Donald Trump Jr. was set up, because the way the meeting was presented to him and what looked to be a mutual understanding between the two parties, what was Rod Gladstone, the intermediary between who would have been Natalia Neselkaya, I forget her last name, the Russian lawyer. But then you talk about what happened in the meeting, and it has nothing to do with what they discussed in the emails. It appears that it was very confused and they were not on the same page when they met up. So perhaps it was Gladstone is what it's appearing now, perhaps tried to set this thing up in order to set up Trump. I'm sure that there'll be more news breaking on that. Stay tuned at INFOWARS.com. But now here's the new twist, and this is incredible. Washington Examiner, again. New fears, Drudge, INFOWARS, Breitbart could face Dem FEC Inquisition. Folks, this has got to be some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard of in my life. You've got, okay, I don't know Matt Drudge, but I promise you he's not colluding with Russia. I don't know everybody at Breitbart, but I do know people that work for Breitbart. I've met them, and they are not colluding with Russia. Now, I work for INFOWARS. I know Alex Jones, and it's hilarious to me that this could even be a real thing. If this Democrat Federal Election Commission inquisition into INFOWARS is a real thing, this may be the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. And I have family and friends that don't agree with my politics. They may think we're crazy here, but folks, let me tell you, this attack on us, if they really do this, if they really bring this to the public to try to bring us down, this will be their ultimate downfall. Because even people that don't agree with me or even INFOWARS as a whole, they know who we are. They know we're not Russian. They think 1,000 different things about Alex Jones. Trust me. The last thing they think is he's a Russian. Okay? And again, people know me. They know I'm not a Russian. So if this is a real thing, that to me is the most amazing fake news I've ever seen. And either the Democrats have completely lost their mind, literal IQ of nothing, or they are just completely sold out to witch hunt anything that is pro-Trump to try to bring Trump down. Now, they're crying as usual, and one of the biggest crybabies in the history of news has got to be Jim Acosta of CNN. Today's one of those days that we should get White House to reconsider off-camera briefings. Just crying left and right, Jim Acosta. It won't be long before you don't even have a press pass, buddy. You should be thanking your lucky stars they still let you into the White House. But here he is crying, I want a press briefing, I want exclusivity, I want in the front row. Oh my gosh, Trump Jr.'s emails, we need to know, we need to talk to these people. Sorry, Jim Acosta, you're fake news. But they keep crying, don't they? They never stop. This is incredible, folks. You've never heard of such lunacy. Twitter users blocked by Donald Trump have now filed a lawsuit. So liberal crybabies that have been blocked by Trump have now filed lawsuits against the president. These same people block conservatives, by the way. These same people want INFOWARS and Breitbart and Milo and all these people and Drudge banned. But how dare Trump block us? No, 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 no. So they're now crying because they can't see the president's tweets that leads them to cry more. Which leads me to this, Trumpophobia. Now, this is really amazing to me. You've got Islamophobia. They say you're Islamophobic if you want the travel ban, if you want strong borders, if you think that there's radical Islamic terror happening, you're considered an Islamophobe. But there's this whole new thing that's Russia-phobia, Ameriphobia, and Trump-phobia, where they literally have these fears of Russia and Trump and America, and it freaks them out that people would be pro-America, pro-borders, pro-Trump. They literally freaks them out, folks. But what is a phobia? It's a fear of something you shouldn't be afraid of. So who has the real phobia? Is it Islamophobics, they say? When, I mean, as far as we're told, 9/11 is still the greatest terror attack on our soil by radical Islamic terrorists. You've got the Boston Marathon bombing, you've got the Ariana Grande concert, Pulse nightclub shooting, it goes on and on. So you've got all these radical Islamic terror attacks that nobody's really disavowing, but somehow these people are afraid of Trump. Somehow these people are afraid of Russia. Somehow these people are afraid of America, but not radical Islamic terror. It doesn't make sense. Trump phobia is the real phobia.
We've taken thousands of years of known research and put it together with our own 4 years of seeking and testing to find the very best systems that God gave us through Mother Nature to detoxify the body. That's why I'm introducing Z-Shield, Toxic Metal and Chemical Defense Support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the InfoWar. It is a classical 360 win. Our formula at InfoWarsLife.com is, quite frankly, simple. We go out and look at the recognized research and we take it to the next level of quality, of purity, and of strength. Because this is what I personally use for myself and my family. We've gone through 5 or 6 different permutations in the last 4 years since we launched INFOWARS Life to actually come up with this. This is the formula that I personally have been taking for over a year, and now we believe we have come as close to perfection when it comes to a detoxifier as you can possibly get. If you're not mitigating the pesticides, the heavy metals, the chemicals, if you're not trying to purify your water, if you're not trying to take products like Z-Shield that are full of known concentrated compounds that'll purify our cells and our bodies, you're crazy. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to the future of this country and the world that patriots stay as healthy and as clean and as focused as you can be, because we need you, the remnant of America, to reignite those brush fires to the next level and to be healthy and as focused as you can be. Because if you're sick, if you're over there on the sidelines and not in the fight, you're basically giving in to the New World Order. Thanks to your support and your prayers, together, we're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield at InfoWarsLife.com.
I want to tell you about some of the products at InfoWarsStore.com. We are under constant attack. You know it by now from the mainstream media. They're trying to attack us on every level. Now with the YouTube scandal, they're demonetizing our channels, which again takes a huge chunk out of our income, which is why we always appreciate and rely on you getting the products, because that's how we stay afloat. They can't get to us that way. They can't pressure you to not buy the products. They don't have that power. And that's why you're the key to this entire operation. We have Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, bubblegum flavor just arrived at InfoWarsStore.com. This is by listener request. Bubblegum flavored Super Blue toothpaste now available at InfoWarsStore.com in limited supply. Again, if you're not using fluoride-free toothpaste by now, then you're absolutely insane. Harvard studies, it reduces IQ, it causes bone cancer. It's not great, let's just put it that way. And I've been using it for about, what, 15 years now? So you're going to buy it anyway. Why not buy it from us? It's in limited supply, but it is available at InfoWarsStore.com with the new bubblegum flavor. Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, and it supports this network, which is under constant demonization and attack, because we don't take big fat checks from George Soros. We don't get put on extremist lists, even though they want us to. That's how they're taking away the YouTube money. That's why we need your support more than ever, because we're not funded by giant corporations who are now pulling the plug on YouTube as they move it into a TV thing, a Netflix model, to drown out independent voices. So support us by getting the products at InfoWarsStore.com.
Well, it has been a tough week for the Vatican and those who occupy it. Let's cover the waterfront real quick. Where to begin? It starts with Vatican Cardinal George Pell, who is being charged with sexual abuse of a minor. We've got updates on that story. You've got the Vatican police that broke up a drug-fueled gay orgy at the home of one of the top secretaries to Pope Francis on a flat in the Vatican. And then you've got Joachim Meisner, a German Roman Catholic cardinal, dead at 83. Meisner was considered to be one of Germany's leading conservative members of the Catholic Church. He's now dead at 83. I bring in Dr. Jerry Corsi to discuss this with me. And Jerry, one thing when you were investigating into this that you noticed the same thing I noticed, we can't find a cause of death on Joachim Meisner's death. Very strange.
It is very strange. I mean, he was 83 years old, and so I guess the presumption is, well, he's old, he died.
But they don't even say that.
They don't say that. No.
They don't even say old age, natural causes.
No, and he was opposing directly the, shall we say, evolving philosophy or approach of Pope Francis to sex. And specifically, it was in opposition to this letter that the Pope had written, which was kind of like an evangelical letter called The Joy of Love, which was one of...
Or Amoris Laetitia.
Right, in Latin. And basically, what he was objecting to, essentially, was that the Catholic Church under Pope Francis is saying they're going to accept divorce and they're going to reallow to the sacraments someone who is divorced after a period of time, whereas the traditional and Orthodox conservative Catholic theology would be that marriage is permanent and that you can't get a divorce and still enjoy the sacraments of the church. So this would be considered to be...
And that's Catholic teaching.
That's Catholic teaching. I mean, this is all Catholic Orthodox theology. See, the real, what's going on, Pope Francis is opening up the church to a leftist, New World Order, globalist view. I mean, he's embracing Obama on climate change.
Right. Open borders.
Open borders. He's got. He's praising all around the world.
It's a globalist stance.
It is.
It's really an anti-Christian stance too.
It's this whole ideology, you know, of Marxism applied into Christianity, which is, you know, a whole theology of revolutionary theology that the Catholic Church has opposed.
Well, that's a good point too, because you're taking the old doctrine of the Catholic Church, the old morals of Christianity, and you're spewing it and you're tainting it with the new fake morals, the fake virtues of globalism and tolerance.
Precisely. Oh, and see, it's called liberation theology, which was really invented by the KGB. The KGB was the producers of this whole liberation theology, and
so the Russians are just running everything.
It spread through the Russians. Yeah, it spread through South America, and was a cause of a lot of the revolutions. A lot of the Catholic clergy became liberation theology, and Pope Francis came up in that tradition. Now, it is a Marxist interpretation of Christianity that Christ, you know, supposedly in sympathy for the poor, opposed capitalism. Well, you know, these were not even concepts.
Just like modern day liberals.
Just like modern day liberals. And, you know, it has been a very powerful theology for the left to oppose traditional Catholic Orthodox teaching. Now, Pope, by the way, just to think of the contrast, remember that Pope John Paul II was widely credited with bringing down the Berlin Wall with Ronald Reagan. You know, and the whole, and was shot.
And he was known as more of a conservative pope.
Very conservative. He opposed Reagan, and Pope John Paul II got together on the idea they were going to bring down communism. And they believed they could do it. And they were both shot, as you recall.
Shocking. Yeah, and then they had to bring in the bulletproof Pope golf mobile type of thing that is now seen in commonplace. I want to get to some of the details on this, Dr. Corsi. Now, first, let's get into the Vatican police raiding a drug-fueled gay orgy at top priest's apartment. Now, this is interesting because the details of this story, I think, need to be noted. Vatican police raid a drug-fueled gay sex party at a top priest's apartment near the city. The apartment's occupant, who was not named by police, not sure why, serves as a secretary to Cardinal Francesco Cacu Palmerio, a personal advisor to Pope Francis, one of his top advisors. That kind of reminds me of the Mayor de Blasio of New York and one of his top advisors, Jacob Schwartz, going down for having pedophile porn, lots of it, on his computer. Disgusting. The apartment belongs to the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. This is where it really gets twisted to me. The branch that reviews appeals from clergy found guilty of sexual abuse of minors. Police arrested the priest, hospitalized him to detox him from the drugs he had ingested. So obviously he's doing a lot of drugs, and he has now been taken in for questioning, presumably on drug charges, as gay sex is actually legal in Vatican. I found that to be surprising that gay sex was legal there. I thought they might have a law against that, but regardless, how amazing is that this is the apartment that represents the Congregation of the Doctrine of Faith that is there to hear appeals from members of the clergy where there might be incidences of sexual abuses of minors. You've got a drug-fueled gay orgy going on there, Dr. Corsi.
Well, and I think, Owen, you're hitting right at the heart of the whole story, which is that the Catholic Church, which has been rocked by the pedophile scandal of the priests in the United States and in Europe and around the world, bankrupt in some dioceses, having to sell church property to pay off the lawsuits. This congregation for the, this whole, in the clergy, which is what rules the Catholic Church, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith is like the highest you get. They're in charge of the basic theology of the Catholic Church, and it is now being revealed to be essentially a gay organization engaging in drug.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows how deep this thing goes, and how seriously do they take their role looking at potential sexual abuse of minors if they're all in there doing drugs, apparently a bunch of cocaine, having gay sex. I mean, whatever, do what you want on your own time. I'm not sitting here trying to fight that. I'm just saying, how seriously can you take your role of looking into potential sexual abuse of minors within the Catholic Church, which we know is an issue when you're there being high on drugs, having gay sex? And that brings me to the next point, Dr. Corsi. Cardinal Pell is now in Australia. He is set to go into court for his hearings on his sex abuse charges. Cardinal George Pell has arrived in Sydney ahead of his first court appearance for historical sexual abuse charges later this month. He is due to face the Melbourne magistrates in court on July 26th. That is upcoming quickly. Pell has maintained his innocence and said that he denies the allegations of all the history he has of sexual abuse. So this isn't just one time. And the Victoria Police Deputy Commissioner Shane Patton told reporters that charges involved multiple complaints. I mean, this is stuff that is historical and it goes deep. And I think that now we have an opportunity for a Rosetta Stone or a Pandora's box here to really expose the truth.
Well, I mean, you're right at the heart of what is I think the current crisis, the moral crisis for the Catholic Church, that it has been not just gay sex in the clergy, but pedophile gay sex and man-boy sex in particular, which is what this is all about. And it's right at the corruption of the moral heart of the church trying to proclaim itself as an institution of faith and religion, which should have elevated morals. And it's challenging the traditional theology, which is what Pope Francis is doing with this entire liberation theology, which challenges even, marriage as same-sex marriage between a man and a woman.
I think, and I'm going to go a little bit off here for the final 50 seconds of this, people would ask why. Why is this going on? Why are there pedophiles in the Catholic Church? Why are there people having gay sex in the Catholic Church? What is going on here? Well, there's elements of blackmail involved. And Dr. Corsi, I'm not speaking for you. I'd like to hear your opinion on this real quick. But I think that the Vatican has been largely responsible for covering up a lot of human history. And they blackmail people into getting them to cooperate with that. Any comments on my thoughts there?
Well, I mean, there's good basis for it. And I think it'd be a long discussion, be a very interesting one. And what we have here is this corruption at the heart of the church is challenging a church which is diminishing in its followers, since Vatican II, and will lead to the further demise of the church in a way that is like the third prediction in Fatima. The corruption inside the church destroys the church.
Electrify your day with Secret 12. It's like lightning in a bottle. We all have days in which we just can't seem to perform at the level we'd like to. INFOWARS Life Secret 12 is designed to naturally energize your body and mind with 2 great tasting and super high quality forms of vitamin B12. Proper vitamin and nutrient intake is essential to keep your body functioning at optimum levels. The reality is, it's hard to take in the proper amount of vitamins we need each day with our modern diets. Secret 12 by INFOWARS Life is an easy way to naturally upgrade your vitamin B12 intake and support your body's natural systems. It pairs 2 forms of vitamin B12 into one explosive formula. Vitamin B12 supports healthy energy levels through red blood cell formation and aiding in the body's natural processes, but it also assists with many other functions of the body. Electrify your mind and body and take your health to the next level. Experience the power of Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, This formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently, we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make, we fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Welcome back. In the aftermath of the shooting of Congressman Scalise and others at a baseball practice game, there's been a reaction on Congress. We've had a half-dozen bills introduced that would give lawmakers the ability to have gun rights in every state. There is one bill that's coming up that talks about you and I. But let's take a look first at the lawmakers. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that they realize that you need to have firearms to be able to protect yourself. Let's hope that they extend that to everybody. As they said, Representative Brian Babin of Texas said the presence of firearms is absolutely necessary at some of our events. Sounds very much like what is frequently attributed to George Washington, although some people say this isn't his quote. But it is a true quote, nevertheless. The very atmosphere of firearms everywhere restrains evil. That's one of the reasons why we have the Second Amendment. We have a right to self-defense. Other people put it this way. Robert Heinlein said, an armed society is a polite society. And Sheriff Clark said, we'll try to help as soon as we can get there. But you have to understand we can't be everywhere. That's why we need to be able to protect ourselves. We've had GOP Representatives Thomas Massey, Republican of Kentucky, and Jody Heiss in Georgia also sponsored gun legislation. Massey's bill would offer reciprocity within the District of Columbia for anyone with a concealed carry permit from another state. Massey's bill has 60 GOP co-sponsors. Representative Mo Brooks of Alabama introduced a measure that allows lawmakers without a gun license or a concealed carry permit the ability to carry a firearm almost everywhere in the U.S. He would not require that lawmakers go through training before getting the license. He said none whatsoever. So what he has done is introduce what we would call constitutional carry, but only for congressmen. Now, Brooks was one of the ones who was at the baseball practice, and here's what he had to say about what he witnessed firsthand and how it would have made a difference to be able to have firearms.
During the attack last Wednesday, there are a number of different opportunities where one of our congressmen or senators who were in the first base dugout, had they had a firearm, could have made it along the backstop over to the third base dugout and bushwhacked that shooter before he injured anybody else.
That's the story of everybody at every mass shooting. If some of us had weapons, and sometimes you have situations like years ago, the Luby cafeteria shooting, where a dentist had a firearm, but she did not carry it into the restaurant, and a person came in, shot her parents, killed her. She survived, but she said, if only I'd had a gun. And so that's what happens when people are at these events. Now, in his bill, lawmakers would not be allowed to carry a gun in the U.S. Capitol or in the presence of the president or vice president, because, of course, they do have a lot of people that already have guns there to protect those individuals. Now, what about the rest of us? Well, Congressman Brooks and Babin are also among 199 co-sponsors of the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act that has been introduced by Representative Richard Hudson, Republican of North Carolina. And Representative Hudson got it right. He would grant reciprocity for all individuals, not just congressmen, licensed to conceal carry in their respective state. It would apply to regular citizens. Say the Bill of Rights isn't just for Congress. It's for all of us. And he said, I think we ought to be focused on protecting everyone's rights, not just us. And he's absolutely right. Good for him. We need to support Congressman Hudson. Now, today in Texas, we had a district court judge dismiss a frivolous lawsuit that was brought by some university professors who are concerned about the August 1st effect. We have a law that's going into effect here that allow concealed carry on public campuses. So we had 3 female professors take their law case, do a lawsuit, and it was dismissed by the judge. And wait until you see what they're saying. They feared that somehow armed students in their classroom, this is New American, would be likely to infringe on their First Amendment rights and chill discussion about controversial topics for fear that retribution would be coming from those armed students becoming upset during their discussion. So we're not going to be able to talk because we're afraid somebody will shoot us if they don't like what we have to say. But then it gets even stranger. They say that somehow their Second Amendment rights would be violated. And listen to what they have to say. They said the Texas statutes and university policies that prohibit plaintiffs from exercising their individual option to forbid handguns in their classrooms violate the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It would deprive plaintiffs of their Second Amendment right to defend themselves and others in their classroom from handgun violence by compelling them as public employees to passively acquiesce in the presence of loaded weaponry in the place of public employment without the individual possession and use of such weaponry and public being well regulated. You hear the doublespeak? Do you hear the mindset of these professors? And if that sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook, it's because it is. It doesn't make any sense. If you read this from the article, as the writer of New American says, it challenges the readers to make any coherent sense out of this. You simply can't. And of course, the judge said plaintiffs don't have standing to this action because they fail to allege any facts showing that they have suffered any injury. They haven't. It doesn't injure us to have somebody have the ability to protect themselves. Let's talk about the Climate Paris Agreement. We've had Turkey's President, Erdogan, say that the U.S. stance in terms of removing ourselves from this Paris Climate Agreement, that's what Donald Trump has said he's going to do and has done. They said that means that there's nothing in it for us. He said the U.S. decision to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement means that Turkey is less inclined to ratify the deal because the U.S. move jeopardizes compensation that was promised to developing countries. In other words, where's my welfare check? It's not going to be in the mail. If America pulls out of this, where am I going to get the money to shut down, to compensate me for shutting down my economy? And of course, our economy has to be shut down. We're going to make energy unnecessarily expensive, and that destroys not only the quality of our life, but it also actually destroys our life expectancy. So Turkey is saying, when we assigned this accord, we understood that we're going to get some money from the United States. If that's not going to be coming, we're not going to be a part of this. So the Paris Climate Agreement is rapidly turning to the Paris Climate Excrement. And that is what we're seeing. And in the wake of all this, and in the wake of what we saw in the G20, and we saw people like CNN's Jim Acosta railing about President Trump and how he was isolated and how he was alone and how he left early and so forth. And Pat Buchanan says maybe he was alone. But the question is, was Trump right? He said at the G20 in Hamburg, it said that President Trump was isolated without support from the other G20 members, especially on issues like climate change and trade. Perhaps so, but the crucial question is not whether he was alone, but whether he was right. The Obama-Merkel vision of a new world order is a utopian fantasy. Absolutely true. And as we pointed out, as Donald Trump removed himself from the agreement, and as he was there at the G20, we pointed out MIT scientist Dr. Richard Linson said, believing that these UN pacts can save the planet is returning us to the Middle Ages. He said, when we used to do symbolic gestures to persuade the gods to look upon us more mercifully. He said, when this whole construct collapses sometime in the future and the fight around global warming will be moved to the dumping ground of history, people will marvel at the remarkable story showing how it was possible to make the whole of mankind hysterical without any proper arguments, and how vulnerable science may become when it is exposed to such hysteria. But it's not simply hysteria. They're actually manipulating the data. In spite of the fact that on July 4th, we had the coldest July temperature ever recorded in the Northern Hemisphere, Greenland set the record at minus 33 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, but Celsius. What was the reply? Climate experts immediately responded to the record cold by saying that Greenland is melting faster than expected, even though it was record cold. That was from Real Climate Science. I guess that must be the Russians that are causing that melting going on here. But here's the real story, folks. The next day, July 5th, we had Daily Caller say that a study finds that temperature adjustments account for nearly all the global warming in the climate data. This is a peer-reviewed study that tried to evaluate current surface temperature data sets that have been managed by NASA, by NOAA, and by the UK's Met Office. Climate scientists often apply adjustments to surface temperatures and thermometers to account for biases, but what they found was they completely wiped out the cyclical patterns in earlier reported data. They adjusted it out. In fact, they said almost all the surface temperature warming adjustments cool past temperatures and warm most current temperature records, increasing the warming trend. They said each data set pushed down the 1940s warming trend and pushed up the current warming trend. So in all cases, they manipulate the data to get the answer that they want. And why is this important? Because it's not just the Paris Climate Agreement that we have to get out of. We have to get out of the endangerment finding that is at the EPA. And those in the Trump administration are looking at this study to push that forward. Stay with
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions. 888-253-3139.
Jovi Val was assaulted at a bar in New York City just for wearing a Trump hat. After a beer bottle to the face and a disfigurement, he caught up with InfoWars. For the full interview, you can see it on the Alex Jones YouTube channel. Here's an excerpt. Well, thank you for joining us, Jovi. I know you've been through a lot. Thank you, Dr. Pober, for joining us as well. Dr. Pober is Harvard-trained plastic surgeon. He's based in New York City. Again, Jovi Val, he was assaulted at the bar. let's talk real quick about the story, though, Jovi. It's my understanding you were at the bar, you had your hat on, your hat got knocked off. A rude woman next to you decided she was going to stomp on your property and instigate you. You tried to be polite. You just wanted to get it off the ground. At that point, her boyfriend apparently came up to you, and then he assaulted you. Then she assaulted you again, both with beer bottles, and then you were kicked while you were on the ground. Am I getting that accurate? Is that the treacherous response you got just from wearing a MAGA hat?
Yeah, like the thing is, they were there for about 4 hours. We were all dancing, having a great time. And I do one dance move and it falls on the floor, so I go to pick it up. She steps on it. So, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe she'll pick it up or maybe I'll pick it up. And I couldn't pick it up because she was too busy stepping on it and stomping on it and rubbing it against the floor. And I'm like, is she serious? So I went to get my hat and I put my hand like in front of her, like, what are you doing? And then she's like, I hate that hat and I hate you. And I was like, you don't even know me. Stop. Like, this is ridiculous. And we just came back from Milo's book release. Like, this is ridiculous. This shouldn't have never happened.
So was there any buildup to this? Had you spoke to this woman before? Was there other conversations going on politically concerned before this? Or was everybody just having a good time and then out of nowhere she snapped at you?
The only thing we shared was the dance floor. That's it. We didn't speak, nothing at all. We were all just having a great time. They were playing a wide variety of music. Everybody was laughing and joking. And, when I put my hands on her, I guess her boyfriend saw that and he was like, don't touch my woman or whatever. And then he hit me in my nose and broke it. So I had to defend myself against him, but he had sliced my face as well because I started bleeding. And then out of nowhere, she gets a glass bottle and hits me in the back of the head. And then by that time, I'm still standing. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to go down for the count because I do not want to fight anymore. And then when I was on the ground, that's when they started to curb stomp me. Like, they started hitting me in the back of the head. I had, like, bruises and lumps over here. But, yeah, it was pretty bad. And then I was just gushing blood. I was bleeding to death. My tongue went numb. I couldn't feel my face anymore. I was trying to leave the bar, and they were right behind me. The two assailants that were right behind me, and they were following me outside. And then she tried to fight me when I was still in the bar while I was bleeding to death. Like, she didn't care, And then, like, I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Like, like, I understand you're upset about it, but, like, why? And then I'm trying to leave, and then finally I'm outside, and they were trying to leave. So the one of the security, I guess, grabbed them and said, you're not going anywhere. And then they try to fight her. Like, it was this big lady, she grabbed them, and then they try to fight her. And it was like nobody realized what was going on. Like, I came with a group of friends and everything. Nobody realized what was going on. My face was disfigured. It was disgusting. My blood all over my shirt, blood all over my undershirt. It was just insane. And then I get into, I'm trying to get an ambulance. Same time, I'm telling everybody what to do. I'm saying, get me an ambulance, make sure they don't leave. My friend put him on citizen's arrest, which I appreciate that, and he just held him there and made sure nobody moved or anything. But when I'm in the ambulance, the guy found out why I got sliced in the face, and he was disgusted. But because he was disgusted, the guy driving the ambulance thought he should give his 2 cents also and say, "Well, was America ever great?" I don't want to hear this.
Wait. Hold up a second. I'm sorry, Jovi. You're telling me you're in the ambulance bleeding out, and the person who's supposed to be there helping you is giving you a political lecture?
Driving it, yes.
Are you serious? Honestly, man, I'm sorry. That is just unbelievable to me. I want to go back to the bar scene real quick, and then we're going to get Dr. Pobert on here to talk about your injuries. What were you thinking when this happened? I mean, she said she hated your hat, so she indicated that she was feeling hate. That's what started this whole thing. I mean, what are you thinking there as your hat is getting smashed? This girl is clearly losing her mind. Were you anticipating this was about to get so violent? Or were you thinking this is just a drunk woman I'm going to have to deal with? I'll get my hat. It'll be fine.
Like, being in New York City, being a Trump supporter and everything, I've been through this where a woman doesn't like my hat, where even like in the Women's March or the National Women's Day, a woman took my hat and threw it over the park, right? I've dealt with this before, But this time, I had no idea it would escalate so quickly that I put my hands on her to tell her, like, what are you doing? Why are you on my hat? We've been dancing for 4 hours. You're trying to tell me you didn't enjoy your time dancing? You didn't enjoy my dancing? I know how to dance, We're having a great time. You're trying to tell me you're going to throw all of that away just because you caught feelings about an election that you didn't feel like you won.
Well, and it's amazing to me, too, because when I'm hearing this story, okay, we've all experienced something like you said, where somebody takes our hat, or I've had water thrown at me, you know, eggs thrown at me, different things like that. Luckily, nothing so violent that, you know, I get cut and I'm bleeding like you are. And so there's one step where you say these people are, you could say, perhaps guilty of a hate crime. But now, oh my gosh, you introduce an entire new angle to me. What if, I mean, you're in the ambulance, you just suffered a serious injury, and for example, you've got Dr. Pobert here, who was, luckily, you know, he was willing to help you out in this time. You know, what if you went to the hospital and you needed surgery and the surgeon was like, oh, he got assaulted for having a Trump hat on? Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to take care of this guy first. Or you know what? Actually, I don't have time for you today. Maybe I'll get to you tomorrow. Or you know what? Maybe I'm not going to help you at all. I mean, that is like a whole nother angle to me. I'm going to bring in Dr. Pobert to discuss this. I mean, doctor, there has to be some sort of a violation. I mean, obviously they didn't violate the Hippocratic Oath, but I mean, we're talking about beyond a hate crime. Now we're talking about people thinking about their politics before they potentially care to somebody in need.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. I think everyone deserves the best health care they possibly can get, and whoever needs it should be deserving of that. And that's what we try to do in our field as much as we possibly can.
Now, Dr. Pobert, you have generously opened up your schedule to help Jovi Val. They're actually calling you Dr. Red Pill now. I don't need to get into your politics. You can get into your own politics if you care to. But talk about what you did to help Jovi. Talk about what went on to his face. Talk about the dangers that he faced from his injuries that you were shocked the hospital didn't address.
Well, the first time I met Jovi was today, and he had this injury on Friday. When I saw him, he had coagulated blood stretching from the top lip to his cheek, and it was maybe almost a half inch of just thick, solid blood, coagulated hematoma on his cheek. And I just removed that, and I saw a very inverted scar that was separating a bit, and sutures were creating what's called railroad tracks on the skin. I removed the sutures and replaced them with steri strips after cleaning the wound more thoroughly, and I started him on some antibiotics to prevent an infection. What we're planning to do now is he's got a severe injury to his nose as well. He has a fracture of the bones. I looked inside his nose. He didn't have a septal hematoma that I could detect, and we're planning to take him to surgery on Friday to clear up the problem with his nose, at least reduce the fracture, and see how that heals up. Generally, we can't do anything more than put the bones into proper position, and after that occurs, at about 3 months to 6 months, we can go back and try to rectify the situation. When I look at someone like this, you know, the injury goes far more than what you can just physically see. There's a tremendous psychological and emotional component that occurs with this, especially because of the circumstances that underlie this injury. And what I try to do is help any victim heal their problem, dealing with the total holistic picture that I possibly can, so that the person feels comfortable with their care and they can look forward to improvements as the evolution occurs. We remove the sutures now. Unfortunately, you can't really address the scar of the face after about 24 to 48 hours max. And right now we're 4 days out again, so I can't do very much for that. I have to accept that scar for possibly as long as 6 months before you can go back and address that issue. But then I can revise the scar. It's in a direction that violated his arteries that go to his nose, the arteries that go to his upper lip. Both were transected. Jovi explained how vigorously he was bleeding when this occurred, and it's explained by virtue of the arterial bleeds that he had. They were, I guess, stopped by just tamponing it, but that obviously could be a very, very serious injury. I checked for his facial nerves. They seem to be intact, and that's much more of a deeper level.
Thanks for tuning in to the InfoWars Nightly News. Support us at InfoWarsStore.com. You stay classy, InfoWarriors.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality InfoWars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high-quality, known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.
Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It's Tuesday, July 11th, 2017. I'm your host, Owen Schroyer. Here's what's on the news tonight.
Tonight, it didn't take WikiLeaks to reveal Donald Trump Jr.'s emails. He scooped